We've always looked to the stars when we imagine the future. Hasselblad cameras have been there. To the surface of the moon, where they framed humanity's first steps beyond Earth. A camera strapped to a spacesuit turned into a witness for human ambition. That spirit of pushing past the limits of what a camera is supposed to be. It's still here, subtle now, embedded in code, stabilization systems, sensors that map the world in ways we cannot see. This is the X2D2, a 100 megapixel medium format camera that doesn't just inherit a legacy, it quietly points to where the future of photography might be headed next. It's minimal, monolithic, and one of the most advanced cameras Hasselblad ever made. A 100 megapixel medium format mirrorless camera with 10 stops of IBIS, continuous autofocus powered by LiDAR, and a massive internal SSD. The design was incredible. An aluminum body clad in a graphite gray finish. The branding was subdued with black lettering. The grip texture, unlike anything else. Not fake leather, not rubberized plastic, something more alien. Paired with the milled aluminum shell and chamfered edges, the body felt almost monolithic. The first thing one would notice when using the camera was the screen. It's HDR, easily the brightest, clearest, and largest display I've ever seen on a digital camera of its time. Outdoors, even in direct sun, it held up. It's huge, crisp, almost like a miniature reference monitor. Hasselblad framed this as part of a true end-to-end HDR workflow with their Hasselblad Natural Color solution. From capture to in-camera display to editing in the Focus mobile app. I don't use HDR much in my own work, but a screen this bright changed how usable the camera felt in the field. Using this camera felt more tactile than ever before. It's the first camera I've used that integrated haptic feedback into its operation. Certain functions of the camera, like moving a dial or focus point to the end of its travel, would result in a haptic pulse, a very interesting way of making a camera feel more tactile. In addition to this, there was a new 5-direction joystick and custom function buttons. I had my rear custom button mapped to change aspect ratio from the native 4:3 to the X-Pan 65:24. The screen articulation had also improved over the previous iteration, sturdier than any other screen I'd ever used. It's extremely high quality. This camera released with a 35-100mm zoom, and it surprised me. On paper and in reality, it was massive, but lighter than I expected. And the range it covered, 27.65mm f2.21 to 79mm f3.16 in full frame equivalent, made it genuinely versatile. Enough for shallow depth of field and solid low light performance, especially considering how much sensor you're working with. All of this on top of fast autofocus made this lens surprisingly fun to use. The X2D2 still doesn't have a mechanical shutter in the body. Instead, it relies on the leaf shutters built into the lenses. If you want to shoot adapted lenses, you're stuck with the electronic shutter. It isn't a huge deal, but more suited to stationary portraits and landscapes. For landscapes, the 35-100 was ideal. You usually stop down anyway, and it meant I didn't need to carry a bag full of primes. I reached for it more than I expected. It was sharp, convenient, and ultimately less of a burden than carrying 3 separate lenses, which, coming from a medium format zoom, was remarkable. And paired with the X2D2's one-button infinity focus feature, this setup felt built for landscape. The biggest leap was stabilization. It's wild. The X2D2 packs a 10-stop IBIS unit, the most I'd ever seen in a camera. Clearly, DJI's gimbal expertise was at play in this camera. With this, I was able to shoot handheld exposures of up to 4 seconds all day long and still be sharp. I was even able to get 6 seconds on the 38mm lens. Crazy. I used to think IBIS was just a nice bonus, but here it shifted how I approached photography. No longer do I need to take a tripod with me for the type of images I make. This camera makes medium format exceptionally portable. This freed me from the burden of extra gear. Autofocus was another step forward. The X2D2 introduced AFC for the first time, with subject tracking powered by both PDAF and LiDAR, which at the time made it the first stills camera to integrate LiDAR into its focusing system. In practice, it didn't feel drastically different from phase detect alone, but the implications were huge. DJI, who owned Hasselblad by then, had already refined LiDAR in drones and gimbals. Seeing that tech show up in a medium format body was fascinating. It enabled subject tracking, laid the groundwork for more intelligent autofocus, and you got the sense it was just the beginning. And then there was the 1 terabyte of internal storage, still underrated. It held around 4,000 RAW files, and I never once used the memory card slot. On trips, not having to think about formatting or swapping cards felt like a luxury. The USB-C transfer speed was fast, and after getting used to it, everything else started to feel archaic. And the image quality. Of course, the image quality was what you would expect from a 100 megapixel Hasselblad. Dynamic range, color, tonality, all exceptional. And because the pixel density was so high, any visible noise appeared finer, more granular, less distracting. It effectively boosts the perception of high ISO performance. You could pull an absurd amount of data out of these files and essentially make any look that you could possibly think of, even from the same image. My Lightroom preset packs were built for exactly this kind of workflow, designed to bring cinematic color quickly without fighting the sensor. If you want to get a similar look in your own images, head over to gxace.com. The X2D wasn't a revolution. It didn't change everything overnight, but it revealed something. A direction, a shape, a trajectory. A glimpse of a photographic future built not around buffer sizes or frame rates, but around possibility. A LiDAR pulse hidden in the grip, a screen that outshines daylight, stabilization that made tripods feel optional. This camera didn't just carry Hasselblad's legacy, it felt like a signal that they hadn't stopped moving forward. Subtle, yes, but deliberate. And maybe, like that camera once strapped to a spacesuit, this too was a tool built to witness what comes next.